outside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. At short third man, it's the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Merry Christmas. You're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, I've got Dan Kingdom, digital guru for Somerset CCC, Ben Warren, club president, Sir Peter Wanless, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Gents, how are we all doing? We've got all our presents.
All set, ready to go.
Yeah. I have to say that my Twitter prediction came true, and Sir Peter is modelling that incredible Somerset Hawaiian shirt, which is now available from the club website and in person from Richard Bryce at Somerset County Sports. If you haven't seen it, jump on the shop section of somersetcountycc.co.uk. It is an absolute belter, and I hope I've got one waiting for me under the trees. I'm sure Dan, Anthony and Ben do as well. Shall we crack on then, because we've got a rather packed agenda for December since we last recorded about a month ago. It's been a busy old few weeks down at Taunton and also at the ECB Towers in their selection meetings. But after we finished recording about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think it was a day or 2 days afterwards, the news broke that Tom Abell, after 7 years in post, has stood down as club captain. Not unsurprising, given that he's been in the job for a while, and his own form particularly wasn't where he wanted it to be last season. And also, if you kind of look at it, Somerset's championship form has dipped in the last couple of years, going from sort of runners up in 2019 and finalists in the Bob Willis Trophy in 2020 to flirting with relegation, shall we say, in the last couple of seasons. I mean, Gibbo, you're one of Tom's biggest advocates over his tenure as captain. How do you reflect on his period in charge?
I think he's done a great job. I mean, he's the ultimate hyperactive captain. He was here, there, and everywhere. He was leading by example. He was, rushing up to have a word with his bowlers. He was, talking to his bowlers about setting the field. I thought he was a brilliant captain, but I think 7 seasons is long enough. And I suggested to him when I interviewed him at the end of the last game of the season that perhaps he ought to be thinking about giving somebody else a chance. And thankfully, I think.
Well, I was going to say, when he was on the pod, Gibber, you had a word with him about opening the batting, and the next day against Kent, he strode out with Tom Lammonby, and then you have a word with him about standing down from the captaincy, and in the next few weeks he does. I mean, can you potentially have a word with him about scoring 2,500 runs next year? And
let's hope that he does. Let's hope. He's a lovely, lovely bloke, and I think he's done a really good job as captain, and he personifies all that's best about Somerset cricket. I think he's such a nice guy. He plays attractive cricket. He's polite. He's challenging. He's just a really, really good representative for Somerset cricket.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, you will obviously have dealt with Tom in a capacity as a colleague, I suppose, working for the club. I mean, he strikes me as a guy who doesn't put on that nice sort of persona when he's dealing with dealing with the media and dealing with the fans. He is a genuinely great ambassador for the club.
Oh yeah, without doubt. Yeah, he's done an incredible job on the pitch, but also off it. The culture that he has instilled across the club, he's really led that. And in the time that he's been captain, I don't think he's ever said no to anything in terms of requests that we put on him, and does everything with a smile on his face and leads by example through everything from charity work to helping out with media requests. So yeah, I don't think anyone will ever say a bad word about Tom Abell, and he deserves all of the accolades he's got, because it was quite nice when the announcement came, the amount of people that were praising, you know, his time as captain, and yeah, absolutely deserved. And yeah, I think like everyone, I hope that he can use it as a springboard to go on and score heavily over the next phase of his career.
Harry's just popped on. He's wearing a lovely Christmas jumper. It's not quite... I'm sorry to keep going back to that shirt, Pete, but it is absolutely amazing. You got a lovely Christmas jumper
see
on there,
Pete.
Harry.
My face is over Pete.
Oh,
I can't see Pete. Pete, give us a twirl.
You can't see.
Ah, look at that.
Yeah.
Available
thank you.
from the Somerset shop.
Thank you for my Somerset card, Ben, and the team.
Yeah, thank you for mine as well. I had to write Stumpy as well in mine, just so I could show it to Layla, and she got very excited about that. But so that, yeah, Dan. I mean, I the one thing that always sticks in my mind about Tom Abell is whatever match you were at, whether it was a blast game, one-day game back in the day, or a championship game, the one guy in that ground who celebrated a Somerset wicket more than anybody was Tom Abell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember during COVID, just seeing on the stream, he was, sprinting across, but he'd always make sure he did a little jump over the pitch, to get to them. But then obviously he had to, hold back and not hug the player who took the wicket, because of social distancing rules. Yeah, he's obviously incredibly committed. Obviously in the field, he was so vocal. Just personifies Somerset, doesn't he, through and through. Yeah, I think tactically a good captain. I think he's everything we really could have asked for, and it's obviously he really grew into the job. Obviously he learnt a lot in his first season. Obviously dropping himself for that one game, struggling with the bat, but he obviously learnt a lot from that and has really grown since, and obviously become a better cricketer in all formats. So yeah, he's been a success. Led us to a trophy in the One Day Cup. Led us to very, very close to the championship. Not many other Somerset captains can say that. Not many other Somerset captains have got that close to winning the championship before. So yeah, it's been a good reign. But I think it was. I was surprised by the announcement, but it makes sense. I think we were kind of due a change. Relatively soon. So it came slightly out of the blue, but it makes sense, I think, for him to stand down now.
Peter, I guess as club president, you probably had a few dealings with Tom in that capacity. I mean, what's your reaction to the news? I mean, it was, as Dan said, not unexpected, but unexpected.
No, I mean, I'd echo what Ben says. I mean, he's just a supreme ambassador for the club. Completely professional, always got time for everyone. Now, I felt from at times he's been blameless, hasn't he, when our performances haven't been as we'd have wanted them to be, and you can see the pain and the burden that he carries on behalf of the fans and the team and the county, and you sort of feel like he's had we've had successes, but he's also had 7 years of that, and it's fair enough to give someone else a go, isn't it? Really? So yeah, I wasn't necessarily expecting it, but it makes perfect sense, and we've got options, haven't we, for next season? It'll be interesting to see which way they choose to go. But 7 good years.
And Harry, you've just joined us. What was your reaction to Tom stepping down? Harry's gone very blocky.
The next guy I'm let everyone. Oh no, am I right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I'm meant to be a family Christmas do. I've just popped upstairs. Thanks for I mean, his years of service, Tom Abell. What a legend! The way I always remember his captaincy is it was stupid o'clock in the morning, the night after finals day 2 years ago. Remember when he played that? He top edged that slog sweep, caught a deep square leg, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, after how many beers on the streets, he was still talking through his top edge slog sweep, and he wanted to get the job done, and he's so competitive, and you can't ask for a better bloke to is Mr. Taunton, Mr. Somerset cricket. Amazing service. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, but he's had a long stint, and good luck to anyone who takes the role.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it before on this pod. It was like it sounds weird to say it's your favourite memory of him, but when he did that interview with you, Gibbo, after we'd been bowled out by Hampshire in a around about a session, and he just came down, and you could just tell that he was hurting, and he was, you know, just so pissed off and angry and everything, and he just felt like all the fans felt, you know. I mean, if he just come down, swan down in his flip flops or whatever, and go, oh yeah, it's not good enough, no, you know, we go again and whatnot. But you know, you could just tell from his body language and his posture and the way he spoke that he was hurt. And I think that for me is what you want from your captain. It's what you want from any player who takes the field for Somerset. That, you know, he's just got that passion in him for the club. He's got the passion in him for the county. And really, if you were almost like Dr. Frankenstein in his lab trying to put together the ingredients for a guy who you want to be captain of Somerset, Tom Abell pretty much had all of the attributes that you wanted. Local boy, that Somerset DNA, talented player, good tactically, so enthusiastic and passionate about the club, and he's going to be very, very difficult to replace. But that's what we're going to try and do now. So, who am I echoing through? I think it might be... No, it's stopped now. Okay. But try and replace him, we shall. So, here we are then, the 6 selectors of the next captain of Somerset County Cricket Club. Who is your choice? Ben? Do you want to...
yeah.
Me. I'm technically under contract with Somerset County Cricket Club, so I could do it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because there are so many sort of candidates, but equally there's not one that absolutely screaming out and saying I've been heir apparent for kind of a couple of seasons. So any move they make will be a slightly kind of interesting call, but equally there's a lot of experienced heads in that group. There's a lot of good cricket brains in that group. So yeah, I was kind of down for TKC until he got called up to the IPL. I quite fancied a bit of TKC ball, but I don't think that'll happen now. But
you're just thinking about the views on the stream, aren't you, and all that YouTube money?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, TKC was obviously in the mix, but yeah, he's been called up to the IPL, which we'll get onto later. I have heard from a very good source that the only player who's really shown a decent deal of interest is Sean Dixon.
He's my bet.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would be I think he'd be a good choice there. The only kind of caveat you got with Dixon is his place isn't necessarily guaranteed in the side.
Well, they've been pretty loyal to him.
They have been, but I'm just wondering how many. You know, he starts off with a poor run of form, couple to not great championship form carried over from 2023. They could be in the position that they may be looking to make a change. I mean, Lewis.
Yeah, they could. I mean, the other obvious one is Craig Overton, and he's Mark Davis's pick. So but again, he's on the fringes of the England setup at the moment. A couple of injuries, he could be right in the thick of the England setup, which would make things difficult. I think Sean Dixon, who captained them pretty well in the 50 over competition, he's no Tom Abell. I think they missed Tom Abell's style of captaincy, and that the all action interventionist Tom Abell style. He's going to be a very hard act to follow. But if you want a sort of calm, considered, experienced captain who's not going to make too many big mistakes, then I think Sean Dixon would be the obvious one, always provided he scores a few more runs.
Mm-hmm. Lewis Gregory is another one.
If his fitness is up for it, then Lewis Gregory is surely a strong candidate. I mean, here is a trophy-winning captain who others have designs on. He's committed his future to us.
I ruled him out because of he'll be rotated. He's not going to play every game. He'll play every other game in the championship, and he'll captain them in the Blast and do a brilliant job as he did last season. But I don't see him as captain in the county championship. Much though I think he'd be a brilliant captain if you're looking at that group of players and who's the best captain in that lot, it's Lewis Gregory. Yeah. But I think other considerations rule him out.
Harry, who's your money on? Or who's your choice?
Well, again, Gibbo said most of what I was going to say, to be honest with you. If Sean Dixon was guaranteed opening or going to... I don't know, it's between three for Lammers, Andy Mead and Dixon for opening. And now with George Bartlett goes, what happens with TKC, Gregory? We're not sure on the top six. The middle order, there's so many different options. But, and I agree, Lewis Gregory, he's not going to play as an out-and-out batter. If he's not fit to bowl, then you can't really give it to Lewis Gregory if he's not going to be fit every game. So I think you probably go Dixon, but TKC at the IPL takes him out of the equation. There aren't many outstanding candidates because there's so many injury worries and international call-up concerns. So it's not going to be a simple decision, to be honest with you.
My slightly left field pick, and I don't think it would necessarily be a bad pick at all, is Ben Green. But
yeah, I heard someone else say that today.
He's not a regular in the side, so he'd have to almost create a spot for him, maybe down at 5 or 6 somewhere. Just as more congestion to that sort of logjam of batters that we've got, but
if everyone's fit, I'm looking at 5 to 8 is ridiculously congested. You've got to get Rue, Gregory, Overton, Casey Aldridge is a proper bat now.
Yeah,
he's going to play.
Will Sutherland.
Van der Merwe's not going to play red ball anymore. Will Sutherland, of course. That 5 to 8 is ridiculously strong. We're going to have a proper bat at number 9. So
Josh Davey as well.
Gets in the
JD.
Side. Yeah,
he could bat 7
Jake
quite
Ball's
easily.
going to have to bat 11. So, yeah, I think he's going to be ended up being 9 or 10. Craig could be 9 if Gregory and Rue and Aldridge and Sutherland play.
It'd be nice to have a season where we didn't have to score quite so many runs between 5 and 8, wouldn't it?
Yeah, good point. Do you remember that game when 7, 8, 9 all scored 70 odds? Was it Marchant, De Lange, Josh Davey, Van der Merwe?
Leicester, wasn't it, a couple of years ago?
Yeah. Ridiculous. Summed up Somerset the last 10 years.
Without a doubt. So what we go for Dixon then? I think is.
Well, I still think Overton might get it.
Yeah. Well, should we?
What's wrong with Craig Overton then? Because Craig has been groomed as potentially a future captain. He's captained us a few times on a temporary basis. He captained the off friendly a few years ago as well. I feel like they do see him as a future captain, and he's much more assured of his place than Dixon. But obviously he is a bowler. He isn't going to play every game. I think England is probably behind him now, but I think
you never know.
That's the worry with him. Yeah,
I mean,
but the worry with him, as I say, he's not going to play every game because he's a bowler. But
I mean, he's just.
I feel like he's a natural leader.
He's just coming off this back up, isn't he? Which he's really seems to be well ahead on his recovery from. So if he's back and bowling, sort of 2018, 2017, Craig Overton, he could be pushing his way back into the England squad because I think it's fair to say he was bowling slightly, not necessarily within himself, but not as well as he could because of all these little injury niggles that he was kind of living with throughout the season. So could potentially be back on England's radar. But then if he is coming off this op, is he guaranteed to play every game? Are they going to manage his recovery? It's such a juggling act when you've got a bowler as a captain. I always do think about bowler captains as well, is they sometimes will lack that objectivity of when to take themselves off and when's the right time to bowl themselves. I mean, you know all about that, Gibbo. Sat in the commentary box calling for Tom Abell to bowl, and he's maybe not, doesn't feel like bringing himself on, and he's looking around and seeing, England internationals all around the place and bowling them ahead of himself. So I suspect it may be quite difficult. If Craig was captain, it may be quite difficult to get the ball out of his hand, which is not necessarily a bad thing from game wise, but certainly from Craigo's long-term fitness-wise, it may be. But yeah, it is good to see that Craigo's had that op now, and he sees his recovery's going pretty well. Ben, he's what was the video doing? That video, sort of balancing on a kind of a thing and throwing balls against the wall. Well, core stability, I guess.
Yeah, I think everything's going go nicely for him. I think it was the right time to do the operation, because I think he had some options to maybe play in South Africa, the franchise stuff, but hopefully he's got the timing right and should be good to go. But yeah, I think he is ready. Certainly ready to take on a new challenge within his career. I think that would be my only question. I just remember Andrew Flintoff bowling 50 overs at Lords when he was captain about 10 years ago, and it I just have sort of visions of us trying to bowl a side out on day 4 and Craig bowling 45 overs non-stop from one end trying to take the wickets. But I think it'd be a good shout.
Well, we shall see. I mean, I presume it would just be announced when it's announced, Ben. There'll be
nothing imminent as far as I'm aware, but yeah, I think they want to get the right candidate in, and probably they'll want to be there fairly soon into the new year. I would have thought, so that person's got a chance to sort of put their mark and get because I think for the team they'll want that sense of direction, leadership right the way through pre-season into Abu Dhabi. So yeah, I wouldn't anticipate it being long into the new year before things are tied up.
Any possibility of an overseas captain, a la Graham Smith or Chris Rogers? Yeah,
it could make sense. I guess it's whether they go for the extra batter or whether they're going to complement Will Sutherland with another bowler potentially, if there's people available who didn't get sold in IPL auctions and things like that might be available they could go down that route. But
there's no obvious local candidate, as it were. So if you wanted to bring someone in from outside, this would be a good opportunity to do it, just for a season or a couple of seasons. Done it before, and not without success either.
Yeah, well, I think back it was a bit of a different world back then. I think that even getting any overseas over for the whole summer is a challenge, but getting one who's...
That was Chris Rogers. Chris Rogers was captain, 2016? Yeah. And we nearly won the county championship. We would have done if he hadn't done that stupid declaration against Essex.
Well, speaking of overseas captains...
Middlesex, correct.
I was gonna segue into Jamie Cox, which you teamed me up nicely for there. If you haven't heard, Jamie Cox is going to replace Gordon Hollins as CEO of the club in the next few months. Date TBC, but that was in a deluge, Ben, of incredibly optimistic and life-affirming tweets that came out last week. Yeah, Jamie Cox has been appointed as the new CEO. Of course, former Somerset player, C&G winning captain in 2001, score of bucket loads of runs, and pretty much a club legend. What an appointment! Peter, were you involved in the selection process for that at all, or was that?
I was. Yeah. No, I feel like I've spent most of the last month working on Somerset stuff one way or another. Just keep that slightly quiet to my trustees. But it's been a really thorough and challenging and interesting process. It was a hugely attractive role for a lot of very capable people, and more capable than the last podcast was suggesting it was between me, Tractor and Stumpy, I think. So there was a much better field than that, and delighted that Jamie's been appointed, and clearly he's got fantastic Somerset pedigree. He's got experience of bringing the women's and the men's game together in two different sports in Australia. He's been at Adelaide as that ground was redeveloped, transformed. He's had a big role at the MCC in terms of staging major occasions to be real kind of memorable experiences for the supporters that go there. So there's a lot of boxes ticked in terms of what Somerset want and need, and what I think our members and supporters are looking for from the club. So I think Gordon's done a great job, and Jamie's a really exciting appointment. So yeah, really pleased about it, and looking forward to welcoming him to the club just as soon as we can extricate him from the MCC and Guy Lavender.
I mean, yeah, we talked about the captaincy choice being a really difficult one. Was it the opposite when you were sort of looking through the candidates for the new CEO role? Jamie just the absolute standout candidate, just ticking all the boxes?
It was a really challenging process, competitive process, and lots of great candidates applied. And I think with these jobs, the job descriptions are impossible. I mean, to be able to be brilliant at everything you need or could conceivably do to be a chief exec of a cricket club like Somerset is a challenging ask. But as I say, he ticks loads of boxes, and he's a great appointment. So really looking forward to it. But no, I wouldn't say he was a shoo-in, and that's a great credit to the club that that a lot of people are interested in coming here and being a part of what we're trying to do.
Is he bringing his pads as well, just in case he needs to to step in as an emergency opener?
Yeah, I hope so.
Because he could potentially fill 3 of the roles that we've needed over the years: a new CEO, new captain, and fill that opening slot.
He'd be a good president as well, actually, wouldn't he?
Oh, I don't know. I think our current one, apart from his dress sense, is doing a pretty decent job.
Yeah, you might not be able to carry off the shirt. That's true.
Dan, what was your thoughts when the announcement came out that Jamie Cox was taking the reins?
I mean, yeah, I was happy. I mean, I don't know much about his past as an administrator really, but as Peter outlined, sounds like he has good credentials. So, and I think obviously it's a bonus that he knows the club. And obviously, I found it interesting actually. Very soon into Michael Barber's text, his statement about it mentioned about bringing the women's and men's game together. Jamie Cox's experience of that, because obviously there's been in the news recently this thing about the regions sort of being bought by the counties, or the counties taking over the running of the regions, and clearly we're going to be making a big attempt to take over Western Storm, presumably, if this is what's going to happen. I mean, I'm not particularly sold on this process, because it means a lot of the regions will, a lot of the smaller counties will become perhaps slightly alienated, because the regions currently represent all the counties. They may not in future if the 8 regions become 8 counties. But Somerset, clearly we have to go for it. We have to go for Western Storm, basically. So clearly that's I assume that's one of the priorities for him. So and it sounds like he's got experience of, obviously in Australia they have the teams are very matched over there. South Australia that he's worked with, obviously South Australia men's and women's, the Adelaide Strikers men's and women's. So he's obviously got the experience there. So that's an interesting thing that I took away from this.
Ben, you've got a new boss.
Yeah. I mean, it was great to see the reaction. But for my side, just want to kind of like highlight that Gordon did an amazing job too. I think some of that was lost when Jamie is people call it the best thing since sliced bread, for sort of forgetting the fact that Gordon come in at the most.
Yeah, I suppose the thing is with Gordon is obviously came in and literally, like, was it 2 weeks after he started it was lockdown and COVID and all that sort of thing, and he has done a fantastic job. But no disrespect to Gordon, but when he was appointed, everyone was like, "Oh, who's Gordon Hyde? Oh, he was the head of county cricket at the ECB. Really experienced and that sort of thing." But it's never going to have the wow factor of bringing back an ex-trophy winning captain to Taunton, someone who's held, in really special place in the hearts of the members and the supporters, and bang, having him in as your as the figurehead and the top dog at the club.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's just only natural, and it'd be great to kind of see how it goes. Really exciting times for the club, but. Yeah, I did feel a little bit sorry for Gordon on the day of the announcement, because everyone sort of said it was the best decision the club's ever made, and sort of Gordon was is and was fantastic chief exec.
Harry, you still with us? I see you've taken your video off.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, yeah,
just not very good signal in the West Country.
What did you think? What did you make of Coxey's appointment, Harry?
Yeah, I think the guy who said before, it's not easy is the wrong word, but it's easy for someone who's been there and got a good reputation from as a player. Say Gordon coming at a tough time. He was more of the businessman guy, whereas Jamie Cox might be more of a cricket guy, is my interpretation from the outside. But he's very popular, and I think having a hard-nosed Aussie at the top might help in some respects, and I think very exciting and seems like a positive recruitment.
I just wonder, having that experience of being, a trophy-winning captain for Somerset and a tremendous experienced player, would it be difficult for him to kind of not be in Sarge's office talking about the cricket side of things more? I don't know. I would imagine the informal chats, but I guess he's not going to be overly involved in the cricket side of things if in an official capacity, I guess.
It's an important element of the role, isn't it? But you can't have two directors of cricket. I mean, as you can imagine, those are the sorts of questions that we'd ask him and other candidates. So you need to get that delineation of accountability and responsibility right between the person who is overseeing the leadership and administration of the club and the person who's responsible for success on the pitch. But there is a relationship between the two, and having someone who is credible in both those domains to support the voices and perspectives that we have across the board as a whole, I think.
Peter, can I just say that's the most corporate sounding sentence we've ever had on this podcast in about 4.5 years.
Yeah, well,
delineation domains. I'm loving it. Keep going.
As I say, I've seemed to be doing more with Somerset in the last month probably than previously. We don't talk about these things so much because for most of the listeners it's not as interesting as who's being picked where in the team. The other thing that I would say for Ben is that I know quite a lot of people at the MCC, and Jamie is hugely popular there as a kind of people person and a motivator and inspirer of all the folk around him. So I think he's going to be he is going to be a hard-nosed Aussie. He's also a very engaging and inclusive and inspiring individual. So fingers crossed that we're on to the next chapter.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it then. Are you allowed to tell us any of the other candidates, Peter, or is that strictly forbidden under GDPR?
No, I definitely can't do that. But as I say, it was an attractive job which attracted a lot of highly capable and credible people. Interestingly, there are a few chief executive roles out for advert in the county cricket world at the moment. So the aficionados of this aspect of the game might want to keep a close eye on what's happening at places like Sussex and Glamorgan. And
are you suggesting that they're going to get our rejects?
Well, I don't know, but there are some really great people who can make a significant difference to cricket. That's all I'm saying, and that can only be a good thing, can't it?
Happy days. Well, you can tell the volume of stuff that we've had to get through because it's half an hour before we're even talking about Sohail Bashir being selected for the England tour to India next month, which I'm going to say, if you told me if there was a young Somerset player you thought had a decent chance of being selected for that India tour, it would have been James Rue, and Sohail Bashir would have been, well, 50-1 shot, but selected he is on the back of what it seems to be impressing a lot of the right people during the recent Lions spin camp out in the United Arab Emirates. I only saw a few clipped up highlights, but he looked to be spinning the ball. I think he picked up something like 6 for 60 over both innings in the match. I mean, hands up who fell off their chair when they saw that one come through a week or so ago.
I don't think it was. Was it that surprising? Everyone seemed shocked by it, but there aren't many spinners in the county championship. I mean, Jack Carson was another one potentially unlucky. Matt Parkinson couldn't get in the side. Callum Parkinson hasn't done very well. Tom Hartley's a white ball bowler. Well, that's a separate issue. Well, I chatted to him at the Hampshire game at Taunton at the end of last season, and he was talking about just the franchise opportunities. He's fed up with carrying the drinks. I massively feel for him. He's been the best player in the county championship, bowling and batting this year, 12 for 100. But I just think him and Sam Billings have been mistreated.
I heard someone in the summer, it was about July, and someone mentioned to me that if Shoaib Bashir has a strong end to the season, that he could, given the landscape of English spin bowling, he could find himself on the India tour. And that was the first time I kind of like processed the thought of him in playing for England that early, but never really thought too much of it. We got an hour embargo on it from the ECB, so we hadn't heard from.
So you're frantically in Photoshop trying to get the graphic ready.
Yeah, I was on the phone to our graphic designer about a minute after we get the. So we only had an hour to spin around, and it was just one of those really crazy mornings where you just think, well, what amazing story that is, what journey the guy's been on, and he's such a really engaging young man, and yeah, he'll hold his own out there for sure. Like, I'm sure he's got a really strong personality, but very, very humble, and yeah, delight for him.
Well, just saying about the sort of the journey that he's been on. I mean, it's been a relatively short journey, but it's been an eventful one. I mean, he was kind of in the wilderness a year or so ago. He was sacked off by Surrey, and then he was playing minors for Berkshire, I think, was it? And then took a bag against Somerset under 18s, I think. Got invited for a couple of second 11 games, and the rest is history. But I think he's cricket Twitter was so salty about it as well. That was brilliant. But a lot of people have said that he's a guy who's potentially got all the attributes to be a very, very good spin bowler, and it's difficult to argue with that because he has.
I had flashbacks to a tour of Australia where Mason Crane was picked over Jack Leach, and we all got a bit salty and cross about them not taking this really great off spinner of ours for some leggy who had a lot of potential but had never really sort of proved themselves. So this is a kind of Somerset Hampshire story in reverse for me, and all the better for it, really.
If we had Liam Dawson after the season he just had, and Hampshire had Shoaib Bashir, and England picked Bashir after 10 wickets at 67, we'd have been absolutely up in arms, wouldn't we? So I'm delighted for Bashir, but I can see why there was scepticism on Twitter for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Gibbo, you've probably seen every ball that he's bowled this season.
I have.
How shocked were you at his inclusion?
I was surprised, I have to say. I mean, he's a good bowler. He varies his pace nicely. Doesn't flight it very much. And he hasn't, apart from his debut at Chelmsford, he hasn't really operated on a pitch that's offering him any help. So it's hard to judge, the extent of his potency as an off spinner on a turning pitch. But he's a lovely guy. He won't be in the Somerset team at the start of the county championship. He's back in India by then, because Jack Leach will be our only spinner, which you can't play two spinners on early season pitches in the county championship. I just hope he hasn't been picked too soon. Mason Crane is a good example that Peter quoted. I mean, Mason Crane was the next big thing, and his career has really almost gone downhill since then. And it'll be good experience for him, but I hope he doesn't get exposed to too much pressure from those Indian batsmen, because they could do career damaging harm to his confidence and his future. So yeah, great for sure, and let's hope it works out well.
Would he have been better off going on the Lions tour and playing all the games?
Yeah, probably. But Who knows?
But
He
anyway,
may surprise.
yeah. Well, I mean, if there's one thing this England team is, it's full of surprises. So don't be shocked to see. I mean, they can't only just play Jack Leach. Rian Ahmed, you suppose would be number 2, but I mean, I tell you what would be interesting for me is if Jack Leach is coming off a back op. I don't think he hasn't played a game since that. Could potentially be a bit of an injury risk. So who do England go with if Jack pulls up lame first morning of that first Test match? Could be interesting. Rian Ahmed and Shoaib Bashir potentially with Tom Hartley. Who knows?
A former England selector said that Rian Ahmed is a better batsman than he is a bowler.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
Yeah,
with that.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think Bashir will be ahead of Hartley. I think Hartley's more of a white ball bowler who can whack it.
Hartley surprises me just as much as Bashir.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he bowled against us at Taunton and at Old Trafford and didn't look anything special at all. But then, they're obviously looking for a tall off spinner. They've got 2 of them now.
Casting a wide net. Right, conscious that time's ticking along then. Almost equally as surprising are the 2, or at least one of the Somerset pair who are in the Lions squad, which is off to India as well. Obviously, James Rue was an absolute shoo-in, but Casey Aldridge, again, was a surprise name. I guess like Bash, he's got all those raw attributes to be potentially a fantastic cricketer. We obviously know what he's a genuine all-rounder. I mean, I don't think anybody would forget that spectacular 100 he made up at Lancashire, against that Sterling attack.
I've been trying to forget it ever since.
I mean, just joking aside, he has made runs at other times during the season, and I'm sure we'll be applauding his first, I'll say, genuine first-class 100 at some time during the summer. But yeah, big, tall. I mean, you don't realise what an absolute unit he is until you're kind of stood next to him. He is a big lad.
He is.
And
he's a very, very good cricketer.
Yeah.
What he isn't yet is a match-winning fast bowler.
Correct.
And that's what he needs to be. That's what he should be focusing on. Batting is a sort of optional extra. If he's going to make a real mark in cricket, it will be as a fast bowler. And I'd like to see him focusing more on that and less on his batting.
Could you potentially see him going the way of somebody like Steve Smith and starting off as a bowling all-rounder and just having his batting kind of take off? I don't see any reason why not.
Well, yeah, possibly. But there are an awful lot of cricketers in that same category. And what we lack at the moment are genuine fast bowlers who are going to go through, going to take 5 wickets and win you the game of cricket, even at county level. He hasn't done that yet. Craig Overton in those terms is streets ahead of him because he is a match-winning bowler, and Casey Aldridge needs to prove that he can do the same. And I think that's much, much more important than the runs that he scores. But he is, as an all-round cricketer, that catch in the Blast final was absolutely, brilliant catch. He's a great team man. He's a lovely bloke, but he needs that point of difference, that USP, and that's as a fast.
Yeah, I think a better comparison would be Jamie Overton. You look at the way he bowled quick, got wickets with short, wide balls often. I remember he got a 5 from the T20 Blast. I was thinking the most expensive 5 from Blast history. Aldridge can still bowl quick, and hopefully his bowling will improve. But I think you see Jamie get his big runs in the Test arena and batting at 4 in T20 Blast. I think that's where Casey Aldridge could potentially end up. But hopefully he keeps improving with bat and ball. But we'll see.
Our leader has left us. Oh, he's come back.
I think he had a good 2023, didn't he? I think he's a better player now than he was 12 months ago.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I think that he just needs that maybe extra yard of pace. Maybe would that be fair to say?
Absolutely.
But
just needs to bend his back a bit more. He looks lovely and fluent and rhythmical, but he just doesn't have that sort of devil that you need to be a really top class fast bowler.
I know as he was growing through the academy and into that they did see him as Craig Overton's sort of junior heir apparent, whatever you want to call it, but I think that he has been moulded in that sort of Craig Overton type, But the potential is there for sure.
As a side point, I wonder as well if he's potentially a future captain for Somerset as well. Just thinking about, Dixon or Craig, whoever takes over, probably won't be captain for too many years. And at that point, unless Casey is playing for England, Casey might be the natural kind of homegrown, relatively young player to then take over the job. And I think he has captained the second 11 a bit as well. So that's just, that's another element potentially to his game in the future. He might be star bowler, and our captain as well.
Yeah, could take over in January. You never know.
Wasn't he first team captain year 8 at Millfield or something ridiculous? So that's a great accolade.
You are such a badger, Harry. That is ridiculous knowledge.
So, I mean, he's definitely got the capabilities. I'm a big fan of Casey.
Right, we've done 45 minutes now, and I've ticked off 5 items on my agenda. Next one, we're going to blow our own trumpet. Always look on the bright side of life. If you don't follow us on Twitter, we've been nominated, or shortlisted, rather, in the Best Cricket Podcast category at the Sports Podcast Awards. So have a look at our Twitter at Somerset Podcast or our Facebook page, and there's the link for you to pop along and vote on there. It is done by the public vote, so please do vote. Please do set up several different email addresses and use several different devices to vote as many times as you can. Have we all voted, guys? Yep. Excellent stuff. Good. Right, what are we on to next? Will Sutherland, our new overseas player. That's you mentioned, I think, on the last pod, Gibber, that your choice would be a guy in the profile of Will Sutherland, a young, up-and-coming, raw, overseas Australian fast bowler. So I presume you're absolutely ecstatic with the signing of young Will Sutherland.
Yeah, I think he's a good bet. I've only seen him on the television bowling and batting for the Melbourne Renegades, I think, isn't it? And he reminds me very much, what little I've seen him so far, of Craig Overton. He's 6'5" tall. He's raw boned. He's got long levers, and he hits the pitch hard and hits the ball hard. I think he's a good signing, but I do think that we need another overseas to reinforce the batting, and I regret having to say that because I'm a great believer in bringing on homegrown talent. But I noticed that Matt Renshaw got some runs today. All right in the 20 over competition, but he got
100 for the Prime Ministers as well.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister's 11, whatever they call it, they got 100 for them as well.
Yeah. But did you also see that another Matt has gone unsold in the IPL auction? Meaning he is now free in May and April and May. Of course, Matt Henry we're talking about. So I presume that was the only barrier to his return to Taunton, and the deal has now been done. It's been faxed over between Taunton and Wellington or Christchurch or wherever he is in New Zealand, and Ben's got the tweet ready to go tomorrow morning.
No, I don't think so.
It'd be nice, but it would be nice. I mean,
But what about Renshaw, Ben? Has he been mentioned in dispatches at all?
No, I've not heard anything in any guise of another overseas appointment. I think
he's 2 seasons with us, isn't he?
Very popular, yeah. I mean, he was very different. Stint 1 through to stint 2, very different character. Was very raw in stint 1, and stint 2 he'd matured a lot. I mean he was just superb off the pitch, and he always scored. But he was brilliant that first stint, wasn't he? He was good in the second stint, but that first stint he was exceptional. It'd be an interesting play.
That catch he took at the Oval.
The Oval, the full length one at Gully, that was an absolute specky.
One of the best catches I've ever seen.
They just need to go with. They need to decide whether it's a batter or a bowler, really, don't they? Last year they went with the 2 bowlers. Whether they go with one of each now or go all out on the bowling.
Well, I think it's got to be difficult to get anybody as who would excite the membership more than getting Matt Henry back. So it's going to be a difficult one. I mean, I think we talked previously when we were talking about the captaincy about the batting down sort of 5 to 8 or 8 to 9 or whatever, and I don't want us to sign an overseas just for signing an overseas sake, just for the sake of signing an overseas, just because the money might be sitting there, might be in the budget or whatever. I think if there's a genuine player out there who we think genuinely improves the players that we've got and is better than what we've got as well, and isn't going to potentially keep Lewis Goldsworthy, just as an example, in the second 11 for a year when he needs to be playing. Likewise with Tom Banton, who's probably 4 years behind in where his championship cricket needs to be because of COVID and getting called up for England squads and this, that and the other. I think there's got to be a massively rock solid cricket case for getting whichever overseas we get next, and I hope it's just not one for just for the sake of signing one.
The clash with the T20 World Cup is a particular challenge, isn't it? This year, and I think as a club we've tried not to be the sort of place where we bring people in for 4 weeks and then bring someone else in for another couple of weeks, and so there's a desirability to find people who you can integrate over a reasonable period of time. On the one hand,
and that sits with the culture of the club as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, but on the other hand, if we really want to push hard for the county championship, then finding someone who can really do it for us in those 4-day games without being too distracted by are they a multi-format sign-in or not? You got to weigh those two things up, one against the other. So there's another slightly kind of corporate analytical answer for you, and I don't know which way I would go if I had any influence over it whatsoever. I might be tempted to think, who can really get us off to a flying start for once in the 4-day and really sort of strengthen the team in a material way, so that we don't go into the summer feeling that we're chasing that or we're not chasing the trophy because we haven't done well enough in the first half of the season, which has been the sort of pattern for
you look at the first game this season is Kent away. That's almost if you're going to challenge for the title, you've got to be beating sides like, no disrespect to Kent, but beating sides like Kent, and then Surrey. Obviously our first 2 games are away next season, just to give the picture a week or so more to recover from the drainage work that's being carried out on it. Kent away, Surrey away. You think win those 2? Well, that's what I'm saying is, and we did look a massively different side when Matt Henry was in it. Matt Henry didn't come in for 3-4 games after the season had started. We totally transformed us overnight, which is why I'm thinking, seriously, let's move heaven and earth. Start a bloody crowdfunder, donate blood, whatever you need to do, to get Matt Henry over here for the start of the 2024 season.
Well, we did have a good chance of beating Surrey at the Oval.
We did.
A couple of years ago. He threw it away, rather, when Tom Abell got out in the second innings when we were well placed. So I wouldn't, it's not impossible, but I absolutely agree with Peter. We have got to get off to a good start in the county championship. We need to hit the ground running, and we haven't in the last two or three seasons, and that has set us right back. And it's been not exactly a battle for survival, but we were never going to win the county championship after the first month and a half of the last 2 seasons.
So that kind of brings me on to my next point of just a list that we don't seem to be getting through. We've still got the quiz to do. It's only 10 questions, but we still got to do it. Annual Christmas tradition. We have a new CEO. We're going to have a new captain. We've got a new head groundsperson. Does that mean we could potentially be looking at a change of approach? I'm thinking a change of pitches. I'm thinking again about talking about not necessarily a return to Hyderabad, but certainly trying to get some life into the pitches and get them to be a little bit more conducive to exciting cricket, because they have been a little bit flat over the last couple of seasons. Don't think it's unfair to say, and we were challenging for the championship when we were playing on pitches that suited our cricket. And
Well, now we've got the 2 best spinners in the country. Surely we can go back to Hyderabad.
absolutely.
Well, why not? Why not?
ECB must have changed their tune. Happy
Yeah.
days. Let it spin again.
Good, right. Tick that. We're done on that. Right, so we break and do the quiz then. Have you got pen and paper ready?
Yeah.
You've got Microsoft Word. I've seen that.
That'll do. That'll do. Well, to be honest, it doesn't really matter anyway. Right, Gibbo's gone off to get. Only
I've
10.
just-
Did we do like 30 questions for the last one? I think it was something stupid like that, and then
Well, hang on. I did the same number you did.
Yeah.
I set the quiz last year, but I did what you did, so don't blame me.
okay. So yeah, as reigning champion, it's my turn to do the questions this year. So we go right. Are
Oh, I
we
forgot
ready?
that.
Are we ready, everybody? I'm going to fire
Deliberately lose so we don't do the
through.
quiz
I'm going to
next year.
fire
Remember
through
that.
these. Right. Question 1. James Rue obviously scored the most runs for Somerset across all 3 formats. Who was the second highest leading run scorer for Somerset across all 3 formats in 2023? And then question 2, which we'll do together, is the same but with wickets. Obviously, Matt Henry took the most. Who took the second most across all 3 formats? I don't want to pause the recording because I might break it, so I'm just going to leave it. And then I might just talk amongst ourselves. Right, so we go on to question 3 then, because these are fairly easy to get. Right, now, who scored the most runs over all 3 formats between Sean Dixon and Tom Abell? And there is only 2 runs in it. So who scored more runs for Somerset in all 3 formats over in 2023? Was it Sean Dixon or Tom Abell? And there is only 2 runs in it. Question number 4. This is a question of sport one. That's off our screens now, so I'm resurrecting this. What happened next? It's the 5th ball of the 63rd over in Somerset's first innings against Kent at home. Jazz Singh bowls to Lewis Goldsworthy. What happens next? So it's the 5th ball of the 63rd over, Somerset's first innings against Kent. Jazz Singh bowls to Lewis Goldsworthy. What happens next? No quickly finding the stream and zooming it up to where that ball is. What happens next? And I'm looking for 2 things. Question 5. Which former Somerset player smashed a window of the county room this year? That was question 5.
At last, there's one I know.
Oh, come on, Mr. President. You should know all these.
Question 6. How many Somerset players were selected in full England squads in 2023? How many Somerset players were selected in full England squads in 2023?
So as in this selection of the squad happened in
Yes, the
2023?
squad was announced in 2023.
Yeah.
Question 7. How did Somerset County Cricket Club cause controversy on April the 10th, 2023? How did Somerset CCC cause controversy on April the 10th, 2023? It must be 8 o'clock.
It is. I'm going to have to go in a minute.
I don't blame you, Gibbo. We're cracking on here. Question 8. What was the result of the Women's One Day International between England and Australia played at the county ground this year? And I'll give you 10% margin of error on that one, or maybe 20, depending on how I'm feeling. So what was the result of the Women's ODI held at Taunton this year? Question 9. How many players passed 50 in the county championship for Somerset this year? Was it 12, 13 or 14? So how many players scored a 50 for Somerset, at least 50 for Somerset in single innings in the championship in 2023? And the final question. Who hit more sixes in the championship in 2023? Shoaib Bashir or Tom Lammonby? Who hit more sixes in the championship in 2023? Shoaib Bashir or Tom Lammonby? Right, are we done? Do we need any repeating?
No.
We all done there, right? So the second leading run scorer for Somerset across all three formats was
TKC.
It was TKC. 1,224 in the championship and the Blast. 489 in the Blast, 735 in the championship, and the second leading most wicket taker.
Overton.
Grego.
No.
I went Gregory.
It was Gregory. 34 in the championship, 15 in the Blast. Craigo had 26 in the championship, 18 in the Blast. So 49 for Gregory, 44 for Overton. And question 3: who scored the more runs? Tom Dixon, Sean Dixon, or Tom Abell?
I've got Dixon, but it's probably wrong.
It is wrong. It was Tom Abell. Abell 934. Dixon 932.
It's a good question.
Right, what happened next then? With that Lewis Goldsworthy one.
It was a toe of the bat onto the stumps, wasn't it? Given not out.
No ball.
No ball.
Yeah,
give it?
so Lewis Goldsworthy, he hits the ball, his bat breaks.
Broke.
The broken bit of the bat knocks the bail off. He would have been out, but it was a no ball. So you get a point for the bat breaking and a break hit the stumps, and a point for the no ball.
And the MCC tweeted out, didn't they?
They did. They love doing that, don't they? When there's a
yeah.
Well, there's controversial. Right, well then, Pete, who broke a window in the county room?
Jamie Overton.
It was Jamie Overton.
Just missed me.
The Overton window. Correct. Right, you can have a point for each on these. How many Somerset players were selected in full England squads in 2023?
At least 3.
4 I've got.
Yeah, I said 3.
4.
Leach, Bashir.
TKC.
Abel.
Yeah, Abel was selected for that tour of Bangladesh, which he had to pull out of. TKC in the ODIs against Ireland. Leach obviously in the Ashes, and again for India, and then Bashir for India as well. Right, 7. How did Somerset CCC cause controversy on April the 10th this year? Maybe not controversy.
After the Warriors again, I couldn't think of it.
Is it not to do with the pitch?
No, nothing to do with the
Wetness
pitch.
of the pitch.
Well, was it? I didn't put this, but I've just thought of it. Is it the announcement of the 2 kits for the Blast?
It is the announcement of the batting and bowling kits for the Vitality Blast. And well done, Dan. Right, question number 8 then. What was the result of the Women's One Day International? I'll give you to within 10 runs if you get it.
England batted
I can't
first.
remember.
Yeah.
And it was raining
We won.
so I hope everyone's got DLS on the end of their results.
No.
Yeah.
I was there and I can't remember the exact
England, well, I was Harry, I had to look. England won by 69 runs on Duckworth Lewis. So if you've got anywhere between 50 and 80 runs.
Oh, I put 60.
DLS. There you are. Yeah, you can have the point.
I put 50 exactly, so I can have the point.
Yeah, you can have them anywhere. 50 and 80 on DLS. That's fine. And then
I completely guess.
how many players scored 50s for Somerset in the Championship? 12, 13 or 14? It was 14. Who got that? If you want the list, it's Rube, Best, Goldsworthy, Rube, Best, Goldsworthy, Aldridge, TKC, Gregory, Abel, Bartlett, Lawenby, Wagner, Dixon, Overton, Henry and Davey. And lastly, who hit the more sixes? Who hit more sixes, Bashir or Lawenby?
Bash. Big Bash.
Bashir, yeah, 3-2. So there we go. Right, who's going to be quiz champion this year? Right, so I make that. So we got 4 points for that one, 2 points for that one. So that's 1, 4. So that should be out of 14. And we
No. Do you get 2 for a correct answer then?
Oh no, you get 2. You get 2 for the Lewis Goldsworthy hit wicket one. So I need broken bat, hit stumps, and given not out for the no ball. And then there was 4 for the Somerset players selected, so that should be out of 14 altogether. Right, Harry, how many for you?
I'm trying to lose, so I don't have to do the quiz next year. 8.
8. Ben?
9 for me.
9.
Yes. So unlucky, Ben.
Gibbo?
8.
8. Dan?
10.
There
10.
we go.
Peter, how many for you?
9.
Nice. 9.5, Dan. Well done, Dan.
Tactical 9.
2023 always look at the bright side of life, quiz champion. Look forward to your setting the questions this time next year. Right. Right.
Keep the suggestion up. Alternating.
Right, let's quickly go through what else we got, because we've been on for now. Oh, Christ, an hour and 5 minutes. I'm surprised anyone's still asleep. Right, there's going to be a Members' Day at the club on January the 15th. Members' Open Day. Look at the website for that one. Ben, you and Lewis Gregory, trophy-winning captains for Somerset this year. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a proud moment for me. Indoor champions. It's on the Gazette. Richard Walsh published a story about it on the Somerset County Gazette. If anyone wants more information.
Is there going to be like an event at the ground like there was after we won the Blast, or are you going for something a bit more low key?
I've got a trophy, yeah. So I put it up against the Vitality Blast in the office. So
Well done.
Can you just? I'll tell you what. When you go in tomorrow, just put carefully place the Blast trophy in a bin and just take a picture of yours kind of up on the thing next to it, just to. That'd be cracking. Tom Curran's a dick. Did we all see that on social media today?
Yes.
I don't think we need to elaborate on that.
I think we knew that already, didn't we?
Tom Curran's an absolute cock, so we don't need to do that.
Peasant.
Off the pitch, Ben, I've got the Business of Cricket Awards winners to discuss. So we did quite well at that awards. Was it 3 awards that we won over the various categories?
yeah, it was a lot of nominations and shortlisting as well. So yeah, kind of big credit to Sarah Trunks, who took home the really coveted MVP award on the evening. She's done an incredible job for a number of years. So yeah, very well deserved award for Sarah. There was some recognition on our work with transforming the women's game and our membership campaign. Our region riders won the digital campaign of the
Have
year
we filled
award.
in all the postcode areas yet? Are we?
No, we're getting there. We got a big month in January, but it's going well. Membership sales
I've
are
got
up by.
TQ12 covered, so don't need to worry about that. Great stuff.
The membership is going really well, so that's good positive signs heading into the new year.
Brilliant stuff. Well done to all the behind the scenes staff for Somerset for that. Great, obviously, again to see the players off to Musgrove Park for their annual Christmas visit there to the children's ward. You needed to put almost a trigger warning on there, because Ben Green was in the Stumpy outfit, and I was watching it next to my little girl Layla, and if she found out that obviously Stumpy was not a real dragon, it would have been a little bit awkward. So I managed to avoid that, thank goodness.
We caught up with little Bodie again, bless him, and
how's he doing?
He's doing really well actually. He was in for physio rather than anything sort of permanent. Yeah, he's doing well. Grown a lot of hair since we last caught up with him, but he's been doing all-stars cricket and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, he loves it. Bless him.
Absolutely brilliant. If you're not familiar with Bodie, he's almost the unofficial mascot of the T20 team this year. TKC grabbed him out the crowd and he celebrated with the team. It was a really lovely and touching moment. And finally, we're just going to question for Sir Pete. Obviously, Anya Shrubsole has retired, and we've talked about what tributes and whatnot we could be doing at the ground for her as a permanent. I don't say memorial, but I always forget what the exact word is. But what's on the cards, Pete? If anything, or should we? I suppose it needs to be taken to a sort of a board meeting and officially proposed. I guess, does it?
Yeah, well, I would just say watch this space. It's a great idea and observation, and everything we've said about growing the women's game alongside the men's. It's a proposal that has credibility from my point of view. So let's see what we can do with it.
Fantastic. Watch this space. Well, yeah, we wholeheartedly support any fixtures. I want to say fixtures. What's the actual word for it? It's not a memorial because she's not dead. It's a tribute or a, what do you call it? When you name a stand after someone, there's a word for it. There's got to be a word.
Recognition.
Recognition. Yeah, an official, permanent recognition to the fantastic career of Andy Shrubsole, which ended this year winning the other competition with the Southern Brave. Hour and 10 minutes, and Don Topley's not even on the podcast. Do we have any other business? I think I'm done. There's a few things that I think are worthy of discussion, but we'll to give them the time that they need to be discussed in properly. We'll put those off to the new year. So everybody got all their Christmas shopping done?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't, there's plenty of these shirts in the shop. So buy early to avoid disappointment. I've only got the one. Quite a few to shift.
Well, I'm sure
Merry Christmas, everyone.
I'm sure there'll be Merry Christmas, everyone. No
Christmas.
more any other business? I don't think there is after.
Yep.
I think we've got through everything. Happy days, right? Merry Christmas, everybody. I'll probably guess I'll catch up with most of you guys next at the Members Open Day, January the 15th. Register your interest now via email, and it should be an email in your inbox for that one. Anything new on this one, Ben? Have we had the old tour last year? Anything?
We have got something up our sleeve, but I shouldn't reveal it.
Oh,
Ooh.
watch this space. Well, don't spoil the surprise, and it'll all be revealed on the 15th of January. Great stuff. Right, Merry Christmas, everybody, and don't forget to vote for us on the Sports Social Podcast Awards. Is that what it's called? I can't remember what it's called now.
You can put in multiple different emails and names of this.
Just go nuts. We'll and if we don't win, we'll just take a leaf out of Donald Trump's book and storm their headquarters with dressed up as shaman and whatnot. And anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. Celebrate the birth of Marcus Trescothick well, and we'll catch you in the new year.
Cheers.